Hello again, my people. I'm on a roll here tonight with my videos, so I'm just going to keep going and record in a row. So, again, we are going to start with I was titling this Managing Bitterness, Considering Things in Life. But before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about my history. So you can go refer to a lot of people I think that are checking out my dailies. They're not seeing my other playlists that aren't necessarily first responder specific. So if you go in there, you can see lists my self-defense training. And then I think there's Nora's empowerment journey. There's my upbringing. So you can find out more in there, and particularly my story and like introvert to extrovert, excuse me, after self defense and all that stuff. And I love, again, sharing my journey because it's just so crazy to me because I never thought that I would be the person that I am today because I was so introverted and hating the world, which I'm going to get into right now. But in talking about hating the world, I also want to bring up restoring hope in humanity and how I keep this alive, and that there are good people out there, though we are rare, that we will hold space for you, okay? We are here no matter what. Eternal love is eternal, and friendship is as well. That's what it means to me, okay? It took me a long time to realize, though, that that is not true for everybody. Not everybody holds their relationships as closely as I do. And maybe it's because my family lives all over the country and the world. And that is huge part of what I am, who I am. And I love community and all of that sort of stuff. I can't get enough of it in serving. Okay. So I am here for however somebody wants to walk with me. I will walk with you. And I will be here. So, whatever, that's what it is. Okay. So the brief on my upbringing, because I want to talk about how I know what it's like to think of from the dark. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that I had a bad upbringing or anything in the home. It's just my disgust for seeing what was going on in society, right? And very unjust things and around the world, right? And that sort of perspective on that disgust making the focus of American pop culture on our exterior, how sexy and beautiful we are, and who gives a fuck about our inner character, okay? It's just that's the model that I saw, okay? It's not exactly that it's been promoted to work on yourself. You work on yourself on the outside, that is what is promoted, okay? So this is just not something I could relate to. I didn't say don't care about the way you look. I'm talking about the focus on that and the focus of finding the one, as if a part of your path that is that's where they want you to go. Like that's what it is. And for some people, maybe it's career, right? It's strictly career, and that's okay. But for me, that's how I viewed it. Okay, so my main support system, and I want to share this with you because you don't have to be a fan of this style of music, but I just want to share with you that the punk rock and hardcore scenes, that was my support system because I didn't feel like anybody was there for me. My stepmom and my dad, they were both present, but I couldn't relate to them on the level of like all the things that I was interested in. And even my one friend who was into punk rock with me, like we just, I don't know, we bonded on certain things, but there was something in the music that gave to both of us on a deep level. And if you go listen to my show with Ian Mackay from Minor Threat, who's one of my biggest, if not leading mentor influencer in mindset, because he wasn't trying to create a movement, but he was just basically trying to say, hey, they're drinking or whatever, promiscuous sex, and I like that. And I think he said this was growing up in the 70s for him. So the straight edge movement he talks about, which I would like to bring back, that's what it was about. You know, he was going to play music or whatever. I think he did some skateboarding, and but he wasn't into all of that stuff that everybody else was doing around him. And then I would still consider it even on uh, I don't know to say milder scale, but Henry Rollins, because the vulnerability he has shown in his romantic writings. And I just always have very intrigued, again, because culture and alpha males and not crying and all that sort of stuff. I really gravitated to such this masculine and alpha scene because they were expressing it through their music and through their art. So if you asked me what helped me survive, and was that, and also my writing, but also feeling like that made me feel strong and tough and safe. So I laugh at myself sounding like an old lady being like, look at them all happy and shit, hugging. I don't even know, but that just, it kept, I don't know, it just, I probably some arrogance or something, snob. I call myself punk rock snob. So if you actually want to go look it up on Wikipedia and you look at punk rock as an ideology, it will tell you it's basically outside the mainstream thinking. It's supporting the little man. It's a question authority mindset, do it yourself ethics, supporting an individual. Back then, it was still really rare. The colored hair, dressing different, piercings, which I think is funny. Piercings are ethnic, cultural thing. The whole embracing individuality was a huge part in um, freedoms, activism, all of that has been all of my heart. And I always knew during that time, though, too, that I thought it would be with teenage girls, but always going to help and serve in some sort of way. I thought it would specifically be physical beauty image issues because I had such a difficult time. So also, this is why this was confusing in my journey, because I was very anti-beauty and pretty, and it took me such a long time to like grow my hair long and feel feminine and that it's okay, right? Because I was so like angry. Why is that always winning? And that's always beautiful, and I'm not, and I don't look like that, the blonde and the white. So you can go listen to those shows too, Hypnotized by Beauty. I know, again, that was a lot of words. I have to slow down. So, going back to the mindset and the darkness, and I also forgot to put this in there because it's very important regarding, well, it relates to the first responder stuff. So, speaking of being dark, I don't know to say that I was thinking dark or being dark, but it holds a spot in my soul. Suicides, taking our own lives, because I did feel like that at 12 years old with my dad calling me stupid all the time. Okay, well, he did it temporarily, but and then of course our relationship changed when my stepmom told him that I was thinking of that. I think I just really wanted to run away, but I do think that that is very young for. I have a different concept in how I view of death now, but very young age to be wanting to die so soon. So this whole talking about restoring help and humanity is to be supportive to each other. That's why a lot of people, like social media. And to follow up with that is that first responders, when I had heard about the increasing rates of suicide amongst them, which none of us as a public, I didn't know about that, it made me want to jump on this. And so somebody's going to appreciate it, even if it's the families of first responders and veterans. Okay. So that's another reason that the more we know as a public, the more we can help and get involved. Like, seriously, get involved. Like, there's so many different organizations out there, and I just keep trying to get at it because for some reason I just haven't been able to necessarily connect with them, but I'm still doing my stuff with my podcast and everything like that, and specializing in mental health. Okay, like I said, so I was negative. I learned as an adult into my 20s, becoming more spiritual. I was still always Buddhist at heart in the philosophy. I couldn't relate to that Baptist side. Again, you can hear in another video. I had a lot of negative associations with that because I felt it was not unconditionally loving. But then I started reading a really famous author, Ernest Holmes. He's known for Science of the Mind, but he actually has a book called Prayer. And I learned to embrace the word God, but I'd actually end up replacing it with something else. I like the Most High, the Divine, Source. I call it Source now. So I was always of love and a loving person, but I think I was, so if you want to say, jaded, or had such a negative experience in the church at that age, like somewhere between 12 and 14, Baptist church, that it turned me off. And so I ended up, finding my own way. I started studying different traditions and different stuff like that. Even so far as, I do feel like it's obscure because I'd never heard of it. I started studying Sufism, Sufism, and I started studying that during self-defense because there was a lot of weird shit happening in my body actually during that time of transforming. It's almost like during my self-defense time, I can only explain it because I didn't understand it as if something had happened to me really bad in a past life. Because in this life, 6 months before, I told you guys about how I had a confrontation with a family member. And while that changed my entire life, my entire perspective, and that's when I found Krav Maga. Yeah, it's almost like I was reacting like something like really severe happened. So that's the only way I could describe it. I'm like, does this happen with other people? So that's for another story, right? That was a huge transforming in my life and just magical. So the two pieces I want to end with, okay? So one I'm going to show you is a song, and the other one is a Mother Teresa saying. And I'll explain to you the reason. So whenever I have low moments, or whenever I want to give up on people, or whatever, you get disappointed in people and all these things in life that make you basically want to go in hermit mode and say, fuck everybody. I can only rely on myself. I'm going to do it myself. Whatever it is, you have these moments. I feel like there's so much ebb and flow. It's like you feel like you can't get used to anything being anyway. Like, you're happy in that moment. Like, I asked somebody today, how's your world? And I'm like, even when I ask that, I'm like, well, right now she might knows how she feels, but she's not going to know, an hour from now. Maybe she gets a bad phone call about something. Like, I'm always about, if we want it, we have to maintain, right? It's not a destination. So with all I just told you about close-up relationships, that since I've had so much experience, I feel like it could be in a letdown, looking at it as a letdown sort of situation. I have to strengthen myself every day. I mean, it's like I'm almost used to my entire life falling down and getting up, like, the entire time. It's like never fully learned how to skateboard. I finally got on one after self defense. It's like I was so passionate, intrigued by. It's almost like, I mean, I became that in my mind again, like, because I always was intrigued with that whole getting up, falling down, getting hurt, breaking shit, and they just get up again. So, Connection. This is the name of the song. So this group, The First Step, actually did not grow up. I think they were popular in the early 2000s, and they did make several albums, but they didn't go to, like, a lot of punk rock groups don't go to huge labels, or that's for another subject, selling out. Except, bands like NoFX. You might see like Pennywise. There's different styles of punk rock, and there's poppy punk, which could be more popular with you if you like it, and then there's just the more aggressive screaming. You can't always hear the lyrics. But I always referred back to this band because, see, I printed it out. That's how serious I am. They're from North Carolina, but they are rooted, their lyrics, I think most of all of them are in Buddhist psychology or Buddhist ideology and beliefs. So I want to read this to you just to remind me that there are people like us out here that are for real, We are true. And I, in case you forgot or didn't hear, I'm from Pennsylvania. So me in the roots and truth and being true, I feel like it's different people over there. And living here in California for 20 years has been a huge adjustment because I guess I don't even know, huge an adjustment. I think the whole time, um, I don't know that I would have stayed here long term at all, but I love the weather and all of that sort of stuff. Um, so, yes, there are real people out here. Okay. Connection. When we open up, we can understand who you are, who I really am. Sharing our hopes, our fears, and our dreams, no barriers, just love and honesty. Connection. We can find connection between you and I. Putting up walls and not taking the time, covering up all that we feel inside. No, I won't accept it. Can't you recognize all that we're missing in our lives? Connection we can find. Connection between you and I. We can't be islands to ourselves. We must reach out to someone else. No more closed, self absorbed, afraid to be. We're not so different, so much the same. Connection creates understanding of how to heal each other's pain. I don't know that we even knew, those of us, that there something to heal or that could be healed or that we needed to be healed. When you're going through personal struggles or whatever you're going through, even I was always been very solutions oriented. Apparently that's something that I have in common with firefighters, but always looking for something, and pain is information, and I really go into it. I like that saying, lean into it. I really lean into it because it just really, it resonates me from it, like maybe my observation and just what I realized again that the pain was doing. I was getting something from it. Sounds sick. But how much it's helped me. But we can help each other. I am not a person who is saying all of this for the first time about unity, storytelling, veterans talking to each other, all this sort of stuff, like, is not a brand new thing. I'm not reinventing some sort of wheel. I am just helping remind us and help keep uh, the hope and everything in humanity, like just bringing it up to the surface again and reminding every decade that we go, like it's still here, right? There's still those of us here that want to help and to serve and also know our mission and calling of what we are supposed to do here while we are here in this physical body, okay? Lastly, before I go into a coughing fit, I print this out too because this is the one of the most powerful things that I read daily, and this is the Mother Teresa saying, "Do good anyway." I think if you just type it in. And this is what I read in those low moments or whatever. Again, you want to throw in the towel, you want to give up. You're like, does anybody care? Fuck this shit. Whatever. I don't give a care. And move away, run away, be alone. Yes, this is what I go to. And it makes me feel better. Thinking people are thinking bad about you, all that stuff. That you have hidden intentions, that whatever. People are often unreasonable and self centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. What you spend years building, someone can destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. I will again say, if you didn't like me using that word God or hearing that word God, replace it with something else. It's whatever you want it to be, okay? This is just another way to give you some reassurance and security. Keep doing, trust yourself. I can't say it enough. Lastly, for real, it has been my experience when I was reading this, if you find happiness, people may be jealous, is that because there are still so many people I did not realize that are very bitter about love, right? Whether they think it's fake. Because again, I've mentioned this before, I need to do a talk on the people that I've trained with, former criminals and different things like that. But also, there's first responders too. Um, Either you think love is fake, right? It doesn't exist. Um, you think it doesn't exist, you have a different concept of it, you've been hurt, whatever a negative association you have with it, okay? Those people tend to project again onto somebody else. And I feel like I have been treated like this. So I have to remember that not everybody views love in the same way, or doesn't view it in the same way, doesn't believe in it. So I just need to understand that, which again makes me want to cry because I only know this way of being. I only know the love way. I only know the love way. When I was learning self defense and I actually get angry at things like that, I had to really dig deep in and just being like, well, I don't really get angry like that. Like, how am I supposed to fight out of this? Like, get mad other than getting punched in the face. That'll make me mad. But it's interesting just to observe, being of a Buddhist, just even background and inside, all that compassion and everything, and to do things so violent. But the Buddhism did not teach me how to be assertive and stand up for myself. So there was definitely value in that and being like that. But after I've learned the assertiveness part of it, I mean, it goes hand in hand. And so there's just really so much people I've learned in my transformations logically and everything that has only really, while it has evolved like since my 20s, it like got propelled after training, and that's why I encourage it so much. And I would say it's probably going to be more impactful for people that have never fought, been in a fight before, never do that kind of stuff, haven't had any abuse, haven't had whatever, any trauma. But for us who I consider I've gone through emotional trauma and stuff like that, regarding my mom, and then I told you never in a physical fight in my life in Pennsylvania. And then having the altercation with the family member. I mean, I never really was in situations where I had to like take action or do anything like that. And then again, always avoiding conflict. So I don't know that I've ever had to burp so much during a video. I think maybe I'm just gonna have to keep mint or something in my. It's really annoying. So I'm sorry if you were annoyed by that as well. So lastly, people, I just want to let you know and bring up again for those of you that may know a first responder or veteran is being there for each other. Also letting you know that that is what's going on. You can go look up statistics. Jeff Dill is his name. He's in the Midwest, and he keeps track specifically of all the I think it's Firefighter Alliance, but you can go look up on there and see the statistics on it. But we as a public, like, I never knew about this. So I wanted to mention that, keep it in mind. And I feel like everybody either knows one or a veteran or something like that, to keep it in mind. And just mentioning again, that managing bitterness, it's not necessarily something maybe that we're going to ever overcome, but we can do these different things to make ourselves feel better about what's going on in society and the world. Be there for each other, friendship, unity, and serving. Okay, so I will see the video again, and that's it. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you're enjoying these little nightcap sessions. Might have to do more of them. and I will on get to my other. It hasn't been procrastinating. I will be doing. I think people were having some interest in what I was going to do with my soul's journey series, but this week I'll be working on the abandonment stuff. One of my favorite subjects. Working on that, and maybe a hunting for love thing. Okay, so I will talk to you next time in the next video, and see you next time. Bye.